U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has urged Israel not to further escalate the ongoing conflict with Hezbollah across the Israel-Lebanon border. Both sides have been exchanging fire on an almost daily basis since the Hamas terror attack on Israel late last year. Earlier this week, Israel's military revealed that it had approved an operational plan to invade Lebanon and secure the border. Let's take a look at each side's military capabilities and what this would mean if a war broke out.
Hezbollah rockets fired from southern Lebanon, intercepted by Israeli air defenses, a common occurrence in recent weeks. But some of those rockets make it through, and Israel has retaliated with devastating airstrikes. Hezbollah was founded as an anti-American and anti-Israel militia in the 1980s when it carried out deadly car bombings on American forces in Lebanon. The group has fought several wars with Israel since then and has become a major political force, backed by hundreds of millions of dollars in funding from Iran. The militia prizes secrecy and typically doesn't reveal information on its capabilities, so any estimates of its forces are just that. But in recent years, U.S. intelligence has put its strength at 45,000 soldiers, including full-time and reservist fighters. The group's leader referred to having 100,000 fighters in 2021. If that were true, it would have more soldiers than the Lebanese army. Last year, the U.S. estimated that Hezbollah also has 150,000 rockets and missiles, more than enough to overwhelm Israeli air defenses and cause significant damage to infrastructure in a war. Israel has one of the world's most modern militaries. In addition to 170,000 active-duty soldiers, there are about 465,000 reservists. It also has about 1,400 tanks, as well as significant artillery and multiple rocket launching capabilities. It also has an air force with over 200 jet fighters and almost 150 helicopters. And it's widely considered to have nuclear weapons, though it's unlikely to use them right across its own border. There's also the Iron Dome, an advanced anti-missile system that has intercepted thousands of rockets from Hezbollah and Hamas, something Hezbollah itself lacks. An all-out war would likely cause significant damage to Israeli and Lebanese cities with high civilian casualties. After months of fighting Hamas in Gaza, Israel's army is also in danger of being overstretched. And there are worries that intense fighting could bring in Iran and the U.S. in a major regional conflict.
Let's get more from DW correspondent Rebecca Ritters, who's following events in Jerusalem. Rebecca, is the Israeli army prepared for a possible two-front war, one against Hamas in the Gaza Strip and Hezbollah in Lebanon?
Well, Biresh, the Israeli military maintain that they are prepared for anything. They have had troops stationed up in that northern border region since the very beginning of the war with Gaza, when Hezbollah began attacking the northern parts of Israel on the 8th of October. They've been training up there. Just in June, there was a rather large training exercise, almost a full-scale preparatory exercise for what would happen under an attack and how they might proceed with an attack of their own. And just this week, we also heard from the military to say that they had green lit now and a plan of attack for carrying out a full-scale confrontation with Hezbollah in Lebanon. There is little doubt, though, that a two-front war would stretch a military that has, troops and resources tied up in many fronts. Also, not forgetting the amount of troops and resources that are tied up also in the occupied West Bank. So military experts certainly wouldn't probably recommend opening up a second front at the same time. And that's certainly what the Israeli military have been trying to hold off from doing. They certainly wanted to try and at least wrap up the war that they have is ongoing in Gaza before they opened up that second front. But as that war in Gaza drags on, we may see that they will be confronted with the decision of having to open up the second front.
And on Thursday, the Israeli army claimed to have killed a Hezbollah commander in southern Lebanon. What is Israel's strategy behind these targeted killings?
Well, in lieu of carrying out a full-on confrontation with Hezbollah to try to push the militant group back from the border to allow for their some 60,000 residents to return to those border communities, the Israeli military have been continuing and carrying out this tit-for-tat conflict with Hezbollah militants. And, in that tit for tat, they have been targeting Hezbollah commanders in order these targeting attacks, as well as also infrastructure targets, weapons depots, launching sites and the like, in order to try to mitigate some of the tit for tat that's coming in the other direction, and to try to lessen the force that Hezbollah has, and of course lessen the resources and the force that Hezbollah have, and its ability to try and attack those northern communities. So that certainly a strategy there. I think what we're likely to see is a further confrontation that will go further than these targeted attacks.
And is there support among the Israeli population for a possible offensive against Hezbollah?
I think the answer to that question is certainly yes. The people I've spoken to, support might be a strong word there, because, I don't think it's that Israel particularly wants to go to war, and certainly to open a second front at a time when its resources are stretched. But it is, when you speak to people, residents in particular, there's a resignation that this is a necessary step. When I've been up in the north, and I was there again yesterday, and in previous reporting trips up there, when you talk to people, they say that they simply wouldn't return to those communities if an all-out war isn't carried out, if Hezbollah is not pushed back. They say that a political solution simply wouldn't make them feel safe enough. And even when you talk to residents that aren't from those border communities, people in Haifa, for example, the biggest northern city, they say that they are expecting this to happen, and that they do think it's necessary.
We'll leave it there for the moment. DW's Rebecca Ritters in Jerusalem. Thanks so much.